and achievement more often than success. But I determine the success as the fulfillment of what is most valuable to the individual. And each individual has a set of priorities, a set of values that they live their life by. And whatever's highest on their value is the most fulfilling. Whatever's low is obviously lower in fulfillment. So somebody may have a highest value of business. Somebody may have a highest value of wealth building, like I just consulted with two clients today. Some people may have a high value on family, some social causes, some physical health and fitness, some spiritual quests, some intellectual pursuits, some family. Whatever is highest on their value, the pursuit, the desire and pursuit and dedication and determination and dedication, might say, and discipline of fulfilling that is what I'm going to call success or achievement. I love teaching, so my success is based on me getting to teach around the world. But each person has a different definition, and then we're not here to subordinate to other people's definitions.
Correct.
We have to be authentic to what is true for us, because many people envy other people, try to imitate other people, and try to be something they're not, and live in their shadows instead of stand on their shoulders. And they hold themselves back because they're striving for goals. Anytime you set a goal that is not congruent and aligned with what you value most, you decrease the probability of achieving it, and you also have a self-depreciating feedback to let you know you're not setting authentic goals. So it is to our advantage to find out what we value most and set sail as captain of our ship and master of our fate in the direction of what we value most.
So well said. Thank you. It's good to you started, and I had to hit the record button right away because it's like, oh my gosh, these are gems right away. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So you may not be like the rest of us, and you may be this golden child and have had success all through your life, and everything you touch has just been turned to gold. But if your unsuccessful adventures, what has kept you moving forward, if you've ever had any?
Well, you are designed to need feedback, you might say, from the universe when you're setting goals that aren't really congruent. So if you set goals that are really congruent, you see things on the way, not in the way. And I don't ever look back at my life and ever see failure. It's not something I even use the term. I always see as feedback. I just find that's a much more productive. I don't even look at success. I just see it as another stepping stone. So I don't, the people say, well, you're successful. And I go, well, I'm just a man on a mission. I don't really put a label on it. I don't really focus on it, but I just keep doing what I love doing. And people then put all kind of labels around that along the way. Yes. But I just love doing what I love doing, and I set up my life so I could do more of it and fulfill that. And that's what inspires me. And so I've had many challenges along the way. Had learning challenges as a youth. I've had time challenges even to this day, because I sometimes have intense schedules. The other day I was on my way from Cape Town, South Africa to Chennai, India to speak. And my visa somehow wasn't being authorized through the airlines. I had a visa, had paper, but they weren't finding any records of authority on it. So I flew to Singapore, and while I was on the way to Singapore, hopefully they were solving this. So when I landed, it would be solved so I could get to Chennai. Luckily, they solved it 14 hours later and 28 minutes before I had to be on that plane.
Oh my!
Those are challenges that you face along the way. I have challenges, regularly. The hotel challenges, venue challenges, promotion challenges, all kind of challenges along the way. Most of it's delegated. What I do is I research, write, travel, teach. I'm pretty well useless outside that. I haven't driven in 27 years. I haven't cooked since I was 24 years old. I don't do administrative. I don't do financial matters. It's all structured, and it's delegated to specialists so I can do what I do best. And I found that reduces the stress levels and and increases the productivity level. So I see things on the way, not in the way. I don't look back and see failure, and I don't see myself as successful. I just see myself as a man on a mission.
Thank you. So at what point in time in your life, so you've structured your life now, and it's working very well for you, but at what point in time is the young Dr. John Demartini choose that I want and need to design my life and about? So when did you first realize that structure and choices were paramount to where you wanted to be?
Well, when I first opened up my practice coming out of professional school, 27, initially I did everything. And I didn't have a lot of business savvy, and I didn't have enough financial savvy. And I realized I was kind of banging my head against the wall because I was, stressed by the amount of hours that I was putting into it. I was trying to juggle that and a new family. And I read a book called The Time Track by Ellen McKenzie, which I can say was a great contribution to insight. And what I did is I made a list of everything I did in a day, everything, at home and at work. And then next to that list, I put another column next to it, and how much does it produce per hour? How much productivity, how much is it generating per hour? And then after going through that, and I extrapolated the best I could. So I looked at it and I said, well, doing exams is $600 an hour, and doing reports is $0 to nothing an hour. Doing consultations could be free, nothing per hour. Doing presentations could be up to $15,000 an hour or more. Doing clinical work was about $1,500 an hour. And I started to itemize what I did: blood work, urinalysis, everything I did in a day, including managing people and staff and administrative and everything else. I just put a dollar value, it produces. After doing that, it was an eye-opener because I realized I was majoring in minors and minoring in majors quite a bit. Yes. And then I put another column next to it called meaning. And I looked at, sometimes I would sacrifice things that were extremely meaningful for less income. But I wanted to do a rating on meaning and productivity. So I had an idea of some things that produce the most but aren't meaningful, and some things that are very meaningful that don't produce. So I had to be able to put those two variables together. Then I put how much would it cost to replace somebody to do it, to delegate to somebody with total cost, not just salary cost, but every cost. How much would it cost? And then how much time is spent? That's the fifth column. And by doing that, I was able to discern the priorities and the spreads in my time. And it was very obvious that I was going to delegate the lower priorities and the next priorities and the next priorities until I was able to duplicate myself. And it took about 3 years to surround myself with a team of people who did everything so I could do what I do best. And it was a slow, incremental process because I would hire 3 people to get one person that would stick. And then I'd hire another person. So these were challenges, but they were invigorating challenges because every time I get another one accomplished, I was one step closer towards liberating myself from low priority things. Anytime you fill your day with low priority actions, you devalue yourself. And you're designed to self-depreciate as a feedback to let you know you're not being authentic to what's valuable to you. So if you don't fill your day with high priority actions that inspire you, it's going to fill up with low priority distractions that don't, to let you know you're not taking command of your time and your life. So I had those challenges when I was in my 20s, and I got more proficient at it as I went along. And I relinquished the other responsibilities other than research, write, travel, teach. So today I just travel around the world. I research in between my speaking, and I do media, and I do podcasts and webinars and speeches and consulting and film and all the things that I love doing. I only fill my day with things I love doing, and I have an agenda every day. Every single day I have my agenda all laid out. So I know exactly what I'm doing hour by hour in advance, because if I don't schedule it, somebody else does. And I have now publicists, directors, and other people that are involved, and we've pooled that into a day, so I know in advance what the schedule is, and that way I fill it with the things that are only meaningful to me. I don't want to fill my day with something that everybody else is expecting. I want to fill it with what's truly most meaningful to me. Life's too short to not take command of your life.
Sweet. That in itself, if anyone gets a takeaway from that, that is worth its weight in gold. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So Jamie, you're looking like you're on the edge of your seat and you want to say something.
I am. Dr. Demartini, you shared with us two really poignant points. One was being authentic and setting authentic goals and setting congruent goals. How would a person know, and I mean, maybe this is too vague of a question, maybe it's too broad of a question, but how would a person really truly know when they're setting those authentic and congruent goals?
I love that question. Well, as I said earlier, every human being has a set of priorities, a set of values they live their life by. And whatever is highest on their value, their most intrinsic goal, the intrinsic value, they spontaneously are inspired from within to do it. They don't need any form of motivation, reminding, or incentives to do it. If you ever need an incentive to do what you say is important, what you say is important isn't important. If you require any form of motivation in life, you haven't been prioritizing your life. Motivation is a symptom, never a solution for mastering your life. And if you set a goal that's aligned with the lower values, you're going to need to you'll procrastinate, hesitate, frustrate, and you'll need motivation and incentives to do it. So first, you need to determine what your values are by looking authentically, objectively at what your life demonstrates. So I have on my website, drdemartini.com, there's a value determination process. It's a 13-step questionnaire that objectively pins down what your life demonstrates is really valuable to. So it looks at how you fill your space, how you spend your time, where you're most energized, when you're doing things that energize you the most, where you're most disciplined, where you're most ordered, what you spend most of your money on, what do you think about, visualize, and affirm about how you want your life that shows evidence of coming true, what do you converse with other people about most, what inspires you most, what's the highest priority goals that you keep setting that are coming true, and what do you love learning about spontaneously. And by answering those 3 answers each, you get 39 answers, and you see which ones are repeated most frequent down to least frequent, and it gives you a very objective view of what's really important to you. Then it's time to stop and realize that if you don't organize your life where you're getting to do what's really meaningful to you, don't expect a meaningful and inspiring life. So then you have to go through that exercise of how do you prioritize your daily actions and start structuring it where you're getting to fill your day with ever progressive more time and energy doing what's most meaningful. And that will require that you serve people, because if you don't have a way of generating income doing what you love, where your vocation and vacation are the same, you won't have the income to delegate lower priority stuff to. And then you need to master the skill of surrounding yourself with people who love doing that, so you're not micromanaging and distracting yourself after the delegating. So you get on with things and not have to ever think about it after that. Because otherwise you don't abdicate it, but you basically make sure that you are freed from having to think about it. I don't have to think about most of the stuff other than research, write, travel, teach today. It's all in the hands of people that's what they love doing, and that's what they take care of for me. So if you have to ask the question whether or not it is high on your values, it's not. Because when it's high on your values, you're inspired, you don't have that question.
Yes.
Your most intrinsic value, you're very objective, you're very reasonable, you're very clear, your executive center comes online, you see it with an inspired vision, you strategically want to plan on it, you execute the plans, you have self-governance, it's crystal clear in your mind. If you have to ask the question, it's got some haziness in it and it's not highest. And many people set fantasies. They set a goal that's one-sided. They'd have the rewards without the risks. They set a goal that's not congruent with their highest values. They set a goal that's not strategically broken down into small enough bites where it's within the time horizons to act. And they basically allow themselves, because it's not priority, allow themselves to try to appease other people and inject the values of other people and try to fill other people's expectations with entropy instead of negentropically doing something that's truly meaningful to them and do something inspiring in their life.
Sweet, thank you. So for those that don't know, or as Dr. John Demartini said numerous times in our talk, he travels the world. So if whatever he's saying today has inspired you and you want to know more, go on to his website. It's truly, his programs are phenomenally groundbreaking, well, and will change your life. So if just go onto his website. That's all I can say. Just do it. Do yourself a favor and just go there.
Thank you. I'm an educator, as you know, and I love educating. So the website is filled with radio shows, TV shows, newspapers, magazines, articles, thousands of things, and it's there to educate. And yeah, it will help. And determining their values, I am absolutely certain. I've taken thousands and thousands of people through it. It really helps them as a foundation, a starting point to start structuring their life. Because a lot of people live in fantasies. Can I give an example here? I can stand up in front of 10,000 people and ask them, how many of you want to be financially independent? And everybody put their hand up. Yeah, I want to be financially independent. And then I ask, how many are? And unless I'm in a very prestigious program with the top executives of some of the leading companies, that percentage is pretty small. And a lot of people go down. I mean, I was at one conference where there was 5,000 people and only 13 people were completely financially independent in that group. There were a lot of entrepreneur wannabes. And a lot of people have fantasies and don't know the distinction between a fantasy and a real goal. And a fantasy will cause self-depreciation. I always say fantasy will lead to a nightmare, a philia will lead to a phobia, and a reward that's not balanced by a risk will lead to a risky endeavor. So you have to have both sides and embrace both sides in the pursuit of a real goal. A true goal has both sides. It's not a fantasy, it's a both-sided goal.
Yes. And
a lot of people are setting goals that aren't aligned and congruent with what they value most. And then they wonder why they keep spending their money on depreciables and consumables, and when they're really seeking immediate gratification. Because if you're not fulfilled, you didn't very commonly become a consumer of other people's brands to make you feel better about yourself. But if you're doing something you really love, you tend to build a brand around your own dreams. And people then buy your dreams and make you wealthy instead of you buy their dreams and make you poor.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you. Do you have a second question, Jamie?
That one there, I really love that, especially about buying someone else's dreams. We see that all the time out there. Everyone's always searching, when it seems like maybe if they just stopped, looked within themselves, really truly understand what is most important to them. If people could just take that moment, and I mean, you've got some incredible, valuable tools on your website. You know, we would definitely recommend to all of our clients, please go visit Dr. Demartini's website, see what's on there, get an understanding and an appreciation for what means the most to you. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, that's the truth, because your meaning in life is proportionate to how congruent you are. Your leadership is proportionate to how congruent you are. Your fulfillment level is. The ancient Greeks called the highest value the telos, the end in mind. Napoleon Hill called it the chief aim. And it was so important to the ancient Greeks, they made a study of it, called it teleology, which is the study of meaning and purpose. And so the most meaningful, the most inspiring, the most fulfilling, the most purposeful thing we can do is identify what's most meaningful to us and structure our life as captains of our ship in a way that we're doing that each day. That's it. I mean, I have a friend who's a martial artist, amazing Japanese martial artist, 20-time champion, that he does martial arts every day. That's it. And so what happens is he figured out a way of getting paid to do it. So he does martial arts and people watch him, and he has his own people that he's trained over the years to train them. All he does is do his routine. That's it.
Wow.
He's surrounded with people that train groups, and they watch and then they train and show them, and all he does is do his routine. And he makes great money doing it. He's a very fortunate guy, but he just does his routine and doesn't even focus on them. He's just doing his routine and getting present with them and showing them how to be present doing their routine.
And that's wonderful. So I have to ask this question because that seems like such a simple formula. Find your passion in life and then do it. Can it really be that easy?
Well, I call it the mission more than the passion, because passion etymologically means to suffer. But I see an inspired mission more so than passion. And I see that it is the thing that you are intrinsically called to do. It's the calling by the theologians. It's a thing that you don't need any reminder, motivation, or incentive to do. Nobody has to motivate. I made a statement the other day at a conference. I said, if anybody can find anybody in the last 45 years that's had to motivate me to research, write, travel, teach, you got free seminar. Good luck finding it. You'll never find it.
No.
So, because I don't need motivation for that. Now, if I was to ask, see if you can find somebody that would motivate me to cook, well, I don't cook. I haven't cooked since I was 24. So I don't go into the kitchen. I have people take care of cooking for me. I learned that anytime I'm doing something that's not highest on my priorities and values, I'm devaluing myself. So why would I want to do that? Why would I not honor myself? Why devalue yourself? Doesn't make any sense. So you want to work your way up the ladder of values until you're basically filling your day with the things that inspire you most. That's how you have an inspired life.
Wow. Thank you.
So when things don't go in the direction that you're moving towards, what keeps you motivated? What keeps you going to the next step? Is it your dedication, determination, or is you see the big picture? What is it that keeps you moving forward?
Well, I don't see things in the way. That's that whole construct. I don't see that. I ask myself, whatever's happened today, how has it helped me fulfill my mission? Because there's nothing in the way except your own misperception.
Sweet. Yes. And Kate, so now I am some 19-year-old person, and I'm picking a 19-year-old. I'm just starting out, and I have this concept. How would you guide me or encourage me to go forth and fulfill what it is that I need to do?
Well, first I would determine what you value most, and then I would ask a question. What is the highest priority action I can do right now to help me move in the direction and fulfill my highest value? What's the highest priority action I can do today that can help me fulfill my dream? Or you could do the highest 2 or the highest 3. I used to do the highest 7 a day. And you got to make sure that these are actions that are doable that day, not things that accumulate, not projects that allow you to feel overwhelmed and you never get caught up, but the highest priority actions you can do that day that can help you fulfill your mission on earth. And if you're filling your day with the highest priority actions, that's the most anybody can do. And then what you do is you then ask, out of all the things that I would love to do, is there any of it which I could delegate and get it done through other people so I can get it done in parallel instead of series? If I can get it done in parallel and get 5 things done in the same day by giving it to other people, I can accelerate and leverage my achievements. So I ask, what is it I love doing? And anything else, I try to delegate. And then we get other people to do it, because anything that needs to be done, but not by you, you can get other people to do and delegate it. But that means that I must be responsible for producing an income from my primary actions. Otherwise, I have no money to pay the secondary actions from. So my goal is to travel the world and teach, get handsomely paid to do that, educating people, so I can then have the income to delegate to lower priority things. And then I ask, from Stafford Bear's work, how do I make everybody I delegate to self-sufficient, viable financially, so they're producing more income, so the income I generate I can leverage and extract surplus labor value out of other people and helping them get what they want. And so if you ask that question, you'd be surprised what you can come up with. You can come up with ways in which you can leverage incomes from other people. So now you're working for you, they're working for you, it doesn't cost you anything.
Sweet. I'm just taking a brief pause, because even this is just lots of information, and I'm like, wow, our viewers and are just so blessed to have you share such profound information. And your life wasn't always so. For those that don't know, you had some struggles in your youth to get to who you are today. So it was not, he was not handed a golden spoon. He wasn't the gifted, Dr. John Demartini worked to get where he is, and he made active choices to get where he is today. So where was I going? I don't know. All of a sudden, I just completely lost my train of thought. Oh, well.
Well, you're wanting, what I'm picking up is that you're wanting to maybe share some of the challenges in the beginning or whatever, so they can contrast, most likely. Well, yeah, I had a learning problem as a child. First, I was born with my arm and leg turned in, and I had to wear braces, like a Forrest Gump kind of brace on arms and legs, on my left arm and leg, pardon me, until I was 4. I was also going to a speech pathologist because I couldn't pronounce I couldn't make proper pronunciation of sounds. When I got to first grade, I was told by my first grade teacher that I would never be able to read, never be able to write, never be able to communicate, never be able to mount anything, never go very far in life because I had learning problems. And I wrote backwards. I still write awkwardly today, but I wrote backwards and I spelled backwards and I didn't get meaning out of things. I couldn't, it was classic dyslexic. And with a speech problem and then the reading problem, I couldn't do school hardly. The only way I made it through elementary school is the asking of kids. If they told me what they got, I could retain it. Mm-hmm. And I asked good questions to get what they learned out of the class, and I would retain enough to be able to pass. And that worked until I was 12. At 12 and 13, I started failing. I moved from Houston, Texas to Richmond, Texas, and it was in a low socioeconomic area, and there was no bright kids to ask questions to that were doing well. And I eventually, dropped out of school and was a street kid. And my parents knew that I wasn't going to make it in school, but I was good at sports. I was good at baseball and surfing. So we tried baseball for a while. I was really good at baseball, but when I moved to Richmond, Texas, baseball was a mess. There was coaches wouldn't show up, teams wouldn't show up, gangs would kind of beat you up if you struck somebody out. It was crazy. So surfing is something I could do on my own. I didn't have to rely on a team. And so I went and developed surfing. And when I was 14, I hitchhiked to California to surf in California. And 15, I panhandled enough money to make it to Hawaii. And I was a big wave rider and surfer up until 17. And then I almost died of strychnine and cyanide poisoning at 17. And then I met Paul Bragg. And Paul Bragg, one night, 1 hour, with his one message, inspired me to do what I'm doing today. So from 17, which is 45 years ago, I'm 63 now. So 45 years ago, my life changed when I met Paul Bragg. And that's when I decided that maybe I could overcome my learning problems, learn how to read, and my speech problems, learn how to speak. And I set out to be a scholar and a teacher. And I just methodically never gave up on it. I just memorize words a day and read every day. And I started reading 20 hours a day until I mastered those skills. And speaking, I just started talking and speaking. I don't pass up opportunities to speak.
So for a guy that couldn't write, how many books off the top of your head have you written now? Well,
if I take all the manuscripts, it's around 300. But if I take just the self-help kind of books that are out on the market, there's about 40. But I've done a lot of manuals for programs and textbooks and things, about 300 of those.
And for a guy so you speak approximately 360 days of the year.
Yeah, well, I'm speaking pretty well every day, either on podcast webinars. I have a talk tonight. When I get off here, I'm doing a talk tonight. I have a talk tomorrow night, a talk Saturday and Sunday. I mean, it's pretty well every day. But I've done up to 7 in one day, 7 different presentations in one day. So I'm kind of a neurotic lover of this. I do about 350 speeches a year. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, but about 350.
And you've been in numerous, I don't remember, you gave me, it's a big number. You've participated in a large number of movies or videos.
Yeah, we've done, lots and lots of videos over the years, but I think 25 of the 36 movies that I've filmed for, 25 are out on the market. Some are still in the making.
Cool. So, and this, if you're listening to this is from a man that was, the schools labeled, dyslexic and all, and he turned his life around through a dream, a desire to change. It wasn't luck. It was darn hard work. So thank you. It's very inspiring in itself.
Well, you know, the thing is we're automatically spontaneously inspired within. We have a burning desire to fulfill what's highest in our value. We automatically are disciplined like a disciple of that pursuit. We're determined in that area, and we don't distract ourselves from that area. So those 4Ds you talk about are a sign of being congruent with the highest value. Those are the things that occur when you're truly authentic. So those are key elements that spontaneously occur. I don't sit there and go, how do I become determined? I've learned that that's not the answer. The answer is to make sure you're congruent. You're automatically determined to do it. It's what you love most. I don't have anything else I'd rather be doing than researching and teaching. I don't have you can't get distracted from your highest value because it's your highest value. When people set goals that aren't their highest values, they'll keep getting distracted by what is the highest value. So we'll set sail on what's highest in value. Don't worry about distractions.
Sweet. Yes. So we want to honor your time and thank you. And Jamie, if you may have usually you have one last question.
You know what? No last questions, but truly, I want to thank you for that. You've given us so many golden nuggets today. You've given us so much to ponder, to be able to put into action, and the resource of your website. Thank you for that. That's something that, you know, both myself and Neil can get on, but not just us. Everyone that watches this, everyone that participates in this great summit, go to that website, take a look, determine what's most important to you. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Demartini.
Well, thank you. I've seen people bang their head against the wall trying to be somebody they're not. And I always say the fantasy, the magnificence of who you are is far greater than the fantasies you'll impose on yourself. So there's no reason to be somebody else. I was interviewed by Vogue magazine a few years ago, and they had about 18 questions they asked me. And some of them were really simple little questions like, what do you eat? These kind of things. And then the final question is, if there's anybody in the world that you could be, who would you rather be, or who would you want to be? And I thought, what a crazy question that would be. And I said, I have no desire to be anybody but Dr. John Demartini. There's nobody I would rather be than me. Why would I want to be somebody other than me? And their look on their face was puzzled, like, oh. I was really astonished by the question. Why would you want to be anybody but yourself? Didn't make any sense to me.
Yes.
Many people envy other people and try to imitate other people and live in the shadows instead of stand on the shoulders. And they subordinate because they think that somehow those people have something they don't. They're too humble to admit what they see in others inside themselves. And if they see greatness in others, they have whatever it takes to be great inside themselves. They just haven't honored it. I always say at the level of the soul, at the essence of the soul, there's nothing missing in human beings. But at the level of the existence of the senses, things appear to be missing. And it's our appearance of things that are missing that leaves us in the voids that drive our values. So my advice is to go and dig deep and find out what you value most, where you excel at fulfilling the most fulfillment and values in your life. You'll be surprised at what you're capable of achieving, because the truth is we have something great inside us. We don't give ourselves permission to let it out. So I say give yourself permission to do something extraordinary on planet Earth, and know that it's impossible for you not to fulfill what's most meaningful to you, because it's your destiny to do so.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
And you'll notice that Jamie and I, we decided that we couldn't be, you look dapper and you're very well dressed, but we had to raise our game so that we, at least look the part.
Well, we have a fashion company, Demartini Fashion, so I'm a believer in fashion. Starting in 23, I realized how the impact that clothes had, and I've tried to dress, professionally most of the time, and but I'm also speaking in a few minutes, so it's normal for me to dress up when I speak, at least professionally.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you for taking the time and sharing with us. Thank you. Thank you
Thank you both.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for putting on the summit and making a difference in so many people's lives.
That's what it's all about. Thank you.
Thank you.